right, starting with the tonic, which I have in dark blue. And so we, on the scale, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So, oh, I screwed up a note. Look at that. Sorry about that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This, I think, was the correct one. I thought it sounded off. I make mistakes too. So you see this and this here are the same notes. So basically what I'm doing is I'm starting here on a 3rd fret, 6th string, and I jump a string and I go up to the 5th fret. So I am on the D string or 4th string, 5th fret, and I'm just muting this guy right out. And this is called a unison. Right here, it's a unison, and they're the same note, same exact note, and they're also a octave above each other. So, no, I correct myself. No, that is an octave above each other because it goes through a whole scale. Or if I do it here, it's going to be there and there. Same note, all 3 spots, and you'll see this note is going to repeat quite a bit in the patterns, and a lot of that is the way it's laid out. So anyways, let's start again. We're going to start here on the 3rd, so it's a 3rd fret, 6th string, to the 5th fret, 6th string, to the 5th string, 2nd fret, 5th string, 3rd fret, 5th string, 5th fret, 4th string, 2nd fret, 4th string, 4th fret, and landing on the tonic again, which is the G. There we go, that's the whole scale. Now the scale starts to repeat itself at this point. So I've actually got 2 scales here on the 3rd fret or in a major scale. And you can count that out. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's all 8 notes here. So starting here at this one, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there again, there's 2 notes that are exactly the same. They're 1 octave above each other. So essentially this is 2 octaves. And you can hear it's very bright and very different. So when you're playing that G chord, that's where those 2 notes are coming from. You got 2 major, or 2 G's, which is your number 1, and the other notes are making up the rest of your 3 and 5. We'll get to that a little later also. So right here, memorize this scale because you're going to use that a lot. And this scale is a movable scale. So what I mean by that is if I start out here with my G note on the 3rd fret, I'm in a key of G major. If I move it up here to the 5th fret, I'm now in A major because as we know, the scale, as I told you last class, the 3rd is the G sharp or A flat, and harmonic. It's the same note, it just has 2 names. The 5th fret would be your A sharp or B flat, then there's a B, then there's a C, and we're going to talk about these intervals here in this class, I'm hoping. If not this one, it'll get to the next one. I do have them written up here as a start. C sharp, D, D sharp, E. So there's my E, there's a E at the 12th fret. So if I want to play in a key of G, I take this, and I want to use a major scale. I take that scale and I start it right here on a G, and the guy will be going like this. He'll be playing a 1, 4, 5 progression, and the progressions are labeled off of the note names, and we start off with G being 1, A being 2, B being 3, etc., etc., and we're naming these off, and I'll write this all down for you here in a little bit. But anyways, a 1, 4, 5 progression in a key of G, to make simple life, there's 1, there's 4, there's 5. We do it all the time. Anyways, so play this over a major scale progression, and these notes are going to fit right in. There's no order to these guys. I just got them laid out like this so you can see. The only advice I give you on this really is you want to end on that tonic. Any of your phrases and stuff, it really makes a strong ending. The tonic really is the most important note there, and usually you start off on the tonic, and these are only guidelines. There are no rules in music. Music is what we make it. It's orchestrated noise, and that's the full definition of music. So we don't have rules, but we have general guidelines, because Beethoven, Bach, and stuff all went by these guidelines. Neil Young, Eric Clapton, everybody that you can think of have gone by these guidelines and made them their own. And saying that, yeah, a guy can never know any of this and be a damn good guitarist, but if you know this, I'll guarantee you what, your understanding of this instrument is going to be way, way better, and you're going to be a way better guitarist. I know it definitely has improved my abilities. So anyways, as we move on, this movable pattern moves. Well, what if I want to play up just the next frets right above? I got that handled here, guys. What happens here is these notes are movable. As you see, I got same note, same fret. So this scale pattern right above here on this next one, I go to pattern 2, and these notes are the same notes right here. This 2 bars are these 2 bars right here. They're just stacked. And the reason we stack them like that is because 12th fret, it repeats itself. So we can continue going up, or we can start back over down here. And that's where this comes in handy, because when you start moving this pattern up, you're going to notice you got a big hole down here unless you take this pattern and put it down here and fill that void up. So this pattern is always right below this pattern, and this pattern is always right above this pattern. And we just move these patterns right up the neck, and one at a time we bring them back down, and it rotates in a big loop as it's going up. So not only that, this is also going to be your modes, and I'll explain that in another class. Right now we're just going to stick to our major scale pattern, and we're going to learn this all the way up the neck, and then at the very end, this last pattern here is known as the minor scale. It's where the relative minor scale comes in, and your harmonic minor scale, your melodic minor scale, and your natural minor scale all revolve around this. Your blues scale also revolves around this and this. It is a mixture of both of these 2 scales right here and pushed into one, and that's what gives it its bluesy vibe. And there's those certain those notes, and there's always the so you got your turnarounds that are using them. There's a whole bunch of different reasons for knowing these little blues notes, and we'll get to that. Probably not this class, but next class or the one after. There's just so much coverage here. So anyways, these notes are right here. They're slid right up to the pattern 2, and hence these notes become these notes. And I've got them you can kind of see the way it's laid out, and I have a much better diagram of these that I'll post underneath this video. so you guys can all see a well written diagram instead of my chicken scratch on a whiteboard that you might or might not be able to see totally clear. At least with those, you can blow them up on your screen, and I suppose you can blow this up on your screen too. At any rate, so this is laid out so your EADGB, so the guitar is facing straight up and down like this, is the way it is, and this is your E string, your A string. So it's all laid out like that. Every one of these bars are just like that. And this scale would be plopped right here as I have it written in the G major form. If I wanted it on the A major, it would start here. If I wanted it on the B major, it would be here. If I wanted it on the C major, it would be here. On the D major, it would be here. And then guess what? There's my 12th bar. I had to double check, and the dots are upside down. There's my 12th bar, which is a repeat of this first open notes right there. So these notes right here are going to appear right here on the neck in this pattern. I'm sorry if I had it in there. These notes are the same as these notes, but they were up a whole octave. So as you can see, this is all built upon each other, and I'll run through the whole scale pattern so you can all see it. We're going to start off here on the G, and that's the whole scale right there. That's two scales actually. And as I show the next note just as a reference note, and you can play it, but you kind of want to end on a tonic. That tonic really makes it solidify. If I was to have gone you went too far, and vice versa. If I would have stopped here, it would have been leaving me wanting, which might be the tone, what the thing you're after. You might want to leave them wanting, but we try to stop on the tonic. And so this next one up here, this pattern right here, this guy, these notes are the same as these notes. Like I said, well, I started out right here, and up we go. And I didn't stop that on the pattern, I just played the whole scale. And I do have the root notes separated by color, so the blue ones are your root notes for your major, the red ones are the root notes for your minor. That's why I have two different colors here, as I'm trying to show you the difference, and we'll get to this major minor part here in just a second. So these notes now come up to this pattern, so we're up here in the 7th fret in this instance. In some it'll be down here, and some it'll be up here. It depends on where that first scale is going to go and what key you're in. So all of these move, and they just move up the scale together. So where was I? I was right here. So we're looking at this pattern right now. Up here in the 7th fret is where I'm at on this particular pattern. So now that's the last note I hit right there, and this when I show that, it's just the same fret, same notes. It's this note is actually here, or here. I apologize. Right here. So this next one that I'm going to is pattern. This one has two patterns to it, and the reason I say there's two patterns, even though I only show one box, one pattern starts here on the 7th fret, one pattern starts here on the 8th fret. It depends on your tonic note, and we'll hit on that again a little later. Just learn the boxes and know these boxes are stacked. And in this particular one, this next pattern is stacked with this pattern is stacked with this pattern, even though there's two names to this pattern. So it's just basically has dual names because there was a starting point on that pattern. So pattern 5, way up here on this fret right here, there's my starting note. 12th fret, which is a repeat of these notes right here. So every time I hit this, it's like moving my bar right up here. So there's my start off. So every note on this in the key of G is usable. Every note on this also is usable because they're just one octave above each other. Gibson Supremes Theory 101. Okay guys, hold tight because we're going to go deep into it. Here we go. We're going to start out here on the bottom, and I'm going to teach you how to read these little box patterns you've seen me post and what's going on with them. Let's start off here with the major pattern. These are movable boxes. So if you learn this one box, this box moves around on the scale depending on what key you're in. Here I'm going to lay this out in the key of G major, and its relative minor key, which will be E minor. And we'll get to that all in about 5 minutes. So the major starts here on a G, which is the 3rd fret. We're going to put this on a 3rd fret. And we're just going to walk down these notes, right, starting with the tonic, which I have in dark blue. And so we, on the scale, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So, oh, I screwed up a note. Look at that. Sorry about that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is the correct one. I thought it sounded off. I make mistakes too. So you see this and this here are the same notes. So basically what I'm doing is I'm starting here on a 3rd fret, 6th string, and I jump a string and I go up to the 5th fret. So I am on the D string or 4th string, 5th fret, and I'm just muting this guy right out. And this is called a unison. Right here, it's a unison, and they're the same note, same exact note, and they're also an octave above each other. So, no, I correct myself. No, that is an octave above each other because it goes through a whole scale. Or, if I do it here, it's going to be there and there. It's the same note, all 3 spots. And you'll see this note is going to repeat quite a bit in the patterns. And a lot of that is the way it's laid out. So anyways, let's start again. We're going to start here on the 3rd. So it's a 3rd fret, 6th string, to the 5th fret, 6th string, to the 5th string, 2nd fret, 5th string, 3rd fret, 5th string, 5th fret, 4th string, 2nd fret, 4th string, 4th fret, and landing on the tonic again, which is the G. There we go, that's the whole scale. Now the scale starts to repeat itself at this point. So I've actually got 2 scales here on the 3rd fret or in a major scale. And you can count that out. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's all 8 notes here. So starting here at this one, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there again, there's 2 notes that are exactly the same. They're 1 octave above each other, so essentially this is 2 octaves. And you can hear it's very bright and very different. So when you're playing that G chord, that's where those 2 notes are coming from. You got 2 major, or 2 G's, which is your number 1, and the other notes are making up the rest of your 3 and 5. We'll get to that a little later also. So right here, memorize this scale because you're going to use that a lot. And this scale is a movable scale. So what I mean by that is if I start out here with my G note on the 3rd fret, I'm in a key of G major. If I move it up here to the 5th fret, I'm now in A major, because as we know, the scale, as I told you last class, the 3rd is the G sharp or A flat, and harmonic. It's the same note, it just has 2 names. The 5th fret would be your A sharp or B flat, then there's a B, then there's a C, and we're going to talk about these intervals here in this class, I'm hoping. If not this one, it'll get to the next one. I do have them written up here as a start. C sharp, D sharp, E. So there's my E, there's the E at the 12th fret. So if I want to play in a key of G, I take this, and I want to use the major scale. I take that scale and I start it right here on a G, and the guy will be going like this. He'll be playing a 1, 4, 5 progression, and the progressions are labeled off of the note names, and we start off with G being 1, A being 2, B being 3, etc., etc., and we're naming these off, and I'll write this all down for you here in a little bit. But anyways, a 1, 4, 5 progression in a key of G, to make simple life, there's 1, there's 4, there's 5. We do it all the time. So play this over a major scale progression, and these notes are going to fit right in. There's no order to these guys. I just got them laid out like this so you can see. The only advice I give you on this really is you want to end on that tonic. Any of your phrases and stuff, it really makes a strong ending. The tonic really is the most important note there, and usually you start off on the tonic, and these are only guidelines. There are no rules in music. Music is what we make it. It's orchestrated noise, and that's the full definition of music. So we don't have rules, but we have general guidelines, because Beethoven, Bach, and stuff all went by these guidelines. Neil Young, Eric Clapton, everybody that you can think of have gone by these guidelines and made them their own. And saying that, yeah, a guy can never know any of this and be a damn good guitarist, but if you know this, I'll guarantee you what, your understanding of this instrument is going to be way, way better, and you're going to be a way better guitarist. I know it definitely has improved my abilities. So anyways, as we move on, this movable pattern moves. Well, what if I want to play up just the next frets right above? Well, I got that handled here, guys. What happens here is these notes are movable. As you see, I got same note, same fret. So this scale pattern right above here on this next one, I go to pattern 2, and these notes are the same notes right here. This 2 bars are these 2 bars right here. They're just stacked. And the reason we stack them like that is because 12th fret, it repeats itself, so we can continue going up, or we can start back over down here. And that's where this comes in handy, because when you start moving this pattern up, you're going to notice you got a big hole down here unless you take this pattern and put it down here and fill that void up. So this pattern is always right below this pattern, and this pattern is always right above this pattern. And we just move these patterns right up the neck, and one at a time we bring them back down, and it rotates in a big loop as it's going up. So not only that, this is also going to be your modes. And I'll explain that in another class. Right now we're just going to stick to our major scale pattern, and we're going to learn this all the way up the neck, and then at the very end, this last pattern here is known as the minor scale. It's where the relative minor scale comes in, and your harmonic minor scale, your melodic minor scale, and your natural minor scale all revolve around this. Your blues scale also revolves around this and this. It is a mixture of both of these two scales right here and pushed into one, and that's what gives it its bluesy vibe. And there's those certain those notes, and there's always the so you got your turnarounds that are using them. There's a whole bunch of different reasons for knowing these little blues notes, and we'll get to that. Probably not this class, but next class or the one after. There's just so much coverage here. So anyways, these notes are right here. They're slid right up to the pattern too, and hence these notes become these notes. And I've got them kind of, you can kind of see the way it's laid out, and I have a much better diagram of these that I'll post underneath this video, so you guys can all see a well written diagram instead of my chicken scratch on a whiteboard that you might or might not be able to see totally clear. At least with those, you can blow them up on your screen, and I suppose you can blow this up on your screen too. At any rate, so this is laid out so your E, A, D, D, G, B. So the guitar is facing straight up and down like this. Is the way it is. And this is your E string, your A string. So it's all laid out like that. Every one of these bars are just like that. And this scale would be plopped right here as I have it written in the G major form. If I wanted it on the A major, it would start here. If I wanted it on the B major, it would be here. If I wanted it on the C major, it would be here. On the D major, it would be here. And then guess what? There's my 12th bar. I had to double check, and the dots are upside down. There's my 12th bar, which is a repeat of this first open notes right there. So these notes right here are going to appear right here on the neck in this pattern. I'm sorry if I had it in there. These notes are the same as these notes, but they were up a whole octave. So as you can see, this is all built upon each other, and I'll run through the whole scale pattern so you can all see it. We're going to start off here on the G, and that's the whole scale right there. That's two scales actually. And as I show the next note just as a reference note, and you can play it, but you kind of want to end on a tonic. That tonic really makes it solidify. If I was to have gone, you went too far. And vice versa, if I would have stopped here, it would have been leaving me wanting, which might be the tone, the thing you're after. You might want to leave them wanting, but we try to stop on the tonic. And so this next one up here, this pattern right here, this guy, these notes are the same as these notes. Like I said, well, I started out right here, and up we go. And I didn't stop that on the pattern, I just played the whole scale. And I do have the root notes separated by color, so the blue ones are your root notes for your major, the red ones are the root notes for your minor. That's why I have two different colors here, as I'm trying to show you the difference, and we'll get to this major minor part here in just a second. So these notes now come up to this pattern, so we're up here in the 7th fret in this instance. In some it'll be down here, and some it'll be up here. It depends on where that first scale is going to go and what key you're in. So all of these move, and they just move up the scale together. So where was I? I was right here. So we're looking at this pattern right now. Up here in the 7th fret is where I'm at on this particular pattern. So now that's the last note I hit right there, and this when I show that, it's just the same fret, same notes. It's this note is actually here, or here. I apologize. Right here. So this next one that I'm going to is pattern. This one has 2 patterns to it, and the reason I say there's 2 patterns, even though I only show 1 box, one pattern starts here on the 7th fret, one pattern starts here on the 8th fret. It depends on your tonic note, and we'll hit on that again a little later. Just learn the boxes and know these boxes are stacked. And in this particular one, this next pattern is stacked with this pattern is stacked with this pattern, even though there's 2 names to this pattern. So it's just basically has dual names because there was a starting point on that pattern. So pattern 5, way up here on this fret right here, there's my starting note. So now I'm up here to the 12th fret, which is a repeat of these notes right here. So every time I hit this, it's like moving my bar right up here. So there's my start off. So every note on this in the key of G is usable. Every note on this also is usable because they're just 1 octave above each other. So this one here is one of my favorite scales. I play this not out of this one. And I mix it in with the Mixolydian scale. I mix it in with the blues scale, and I mix it in with the minor or major scale. But I do it on specific switch notes, so your ear don't catch your ear catches it, but it isn't hitting you across the head like a baseball bat. It's more smooth and graceful, and grace is what this whole thing is all about. If you're choppy, it doesn't sound good. You want to be smooth, and the best thing I can tell you is don't choke the neck of the guitar, and make sure you're moving at a nice smooth stroke. Here's a major with a minor scale under it. Real well. You know why? Because that's part of the blues scale, where I mentioned earlier that this scale and this scale merges together with blues, and I'm kind of doing what a blues scale would do. There's your major chord, and I'm putting nice little embellishments in there with a minor pentatonic there. We're teaching you a full 7 notes. I'll get to the pentatonics later. I think if you learn the full scale, you're better off. However, you're going to see a lot of guys use those pentatonics. 6 one way, half dozen the other. We'll explain that later. And I'm sorry to keep telling you that, but this is pretty intricate stuff here. So anyways, this minor scale is the last one, and it's up here on the 12th fret. And show you the whole scale. I got taken off a line of concentration. Sorry. So. Now, all of these are guidelines. There's no rules in music. But if you learn these guidelines, it really helps to know where you can cheat and where you shouldn't. At the very end of a phrase, which is a musical sentence. So when I mean phrase, there's usually a succession of notes. It can be 2 bars long, it can be 8 bars long, but a 2-bar one would probably go. And then you would do another 2 bars as an answer to that. And then another 2 after that. Hear how they're different, they're kind of answering and calling. That's phrasing. It's I'm making a sentence with my notes. I have a lot of words that I can say, but if I say them out of order or out of context, it becomes gibberish. A lot of guys have really, especially in some of the speed metal stuff, I think they've strayed a little too far on some of this, but that's my personal opinion. It's not a fact, because there is no facts with music. The only fact they have is it's orchestrated noise. So how you put it together, how you lay it out, really up to you. But like I said, we have specific guidelines, and when you start hearing some of this stuff, ugh, what are they doing? Well, that's what's happening, is they strayed a little bit outside the box too far, and consequently, that's what they're talking about. Inside and outside the box are these patterns. If I'm playing in this pattern, I'm in the box. Now, if I'm playing a minor, A minor, so I'm playing this pattern right here. I want to change just one note. I can go to a Mixolydian pattern, which consequently happens right here in this box. And you'll notice, if you start looking at these 2 boxes, the only note that's different is this guy right here has shifted down 1 fret. So every time this note appears, that shifts down 1 fret. On a keyboard, it's this note right there is your middle C, and it is also the start of your C. It's right at the 2, right before the 2 black keys, which are your sharps and your flats. But these are all natural. Every one of these is a natural key, is a white key. So consequently, if you start out and you jump like I'm doing every other note, you push down on it, you now have a C chord. And I can go to the next one, and it's now a B chord, and then it is a D chord, then an E chord. And that's how simple piano is to play, but there's much, much more involved. But this is the middle C. The 2 ones are your started off, and if you know how to work your alphabet, which I'm hoping all of you do, sorry, I know you all do, it's just up to A through G, and if you're starting on a C, you end on a C. So yeah, you can't end here, you got to end here on the C. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Look at that. There's the 8. There's my 2 keys. So that's how a keyboard works. So we have 0 sharps, 0 flats for a C. Right over here at 1 o'clock, we're going to have, I'm going to switch pin markers here, and I lost the cap for that, darn it. Oh, there it is. And this is the beautiful thing about these whiteboards, is I can have separate markers for separate things. Where is a G major, or a relative minor, that would be an E minor. Remember those box patterns? I had the major and minor. This is all relative, and it works the same on a keyboard. Works the same on every instrument. Well, horns have an exception. They're a locked instrument. They only have one particular key that they can really. They only have so many notes. It's just a fixed instrument. I'm not even sure if they got a full scale there, or I think it's a full scale, but I don't think they can. I think they can only go up or down partially on those scales to get other key signatures. But I think most of the time they're in one specific key. I haven't played enough with horns to really. I mean, I did in college, but I wasn't in charge, so I didn't care. And I guess that's kind of my feeling on it right now. I still don't care what they play, and I'm sure that's a lot of your guys' feelings. So, oh, I missed something. So this has one sharp to it. And that's for both of these guys. It has one sharp, and that's it. So the next one that we come down to is now D major, or its relative minor is a B minor. And that's going to have two sharps. So when you're looking at written music, on the far left side, right in front of the treble clef, you're going to see your sharps or your flats, and that's where this is all going to come in from. And this is all going to help with this stuff coming up. So there's certain points that we have to, they're dull points, but we have to hit on them so we all understand what I'm trying to communicate to you, because if you don't understand it, you're wasting your time listening to me. So please, if you have any questions, contact me, either a personal message, become my friend on Facebook, personal friend away from the Gibson Supreme site, and I'll answer your questions there if you're afraid to ask in front of everybody. I will put them up online as a question that was asked to me by someone, and that is where it will stop. Your name will never be mentioned, so if you want to do it that way, I'm not going to think you're dumb. The only dumb question is the one that isn't asked, because I can't give you an answer to something if you don't ask. And if I don't know the answer and you ask me, I'll be honest with you. I don't know, but I'll put it out in front of the group. And there's guys out there that probably are better at theory than myself even. I just happen to offer the class and stuck my neck out on the chopping block, and here we sit. I hope y'all enjoy this fact too, because it's a lot of work. So anyways, I digress once again. I try to keep it going quick. This next one here is going to be your A, and there's 3 sharps involved in that, and that's a major, or its relative minor is a F sharp minor. So there again, both of those scales are falling in on those box patterns as we move them up the neck or down the neck. So if you're playing F sharp minor, you can start that minor scale right there on the F sharp note, which is your 2nd fret. And man, you're going to be right in key. Nobody's going to question you. You sound great. Yeah, same goes with the A minor. They've played many songs, A major progression with A minor, etc., etc. So down here at 4 sharps, I have a E major, and its relative minor is a C sharp minor. Sorry about, as you can see, it's hard to write like this. And it has 4 sharps to it. The next one we're going to looks like we got a black one coming up, or no, blue one. Back to the original colors here, huh? So this next one here is a B major, or its relative minor is a F minor, and that has 5 sharps. Okay, so my next guy right here at the 6 o'clock position. Well, this is a dual one, and we'll get back to this, but we're just going to get to the one here off the sharps, and you'll see why it's a dual. It's enharmonic here, and we'll get to that in just a second. So this is a F sharp major, or a D sharp minor. Okay. So, now, instead of continuing around this way, I'm going to go back up here to C and work my way backwards. And the reason for that is because now I got 1 flat here. And this is going to be your F major, or your D minor, and it has 1 flat. Let's get that separated. That looks like a 6. So 1 flat. The next one that we're going to is going to be a B flat major, and its relative minor is a G minor, and that has 2 flats. And then the next one we go to, and I'm sorry if this is boring, and I understand that. Some of you all know this stuff, but there again, we got to cover. This is a C flat minor. This is getting into the area where, as a guitarist, we don't use these that often, but they're there and we might run across them. Or a E flat major, and it has 3 flats. The next one we'll have 4 flats to it, and that'll be an A flat, and I've used this scale before, believe it or not, and that's the major. And then I've used the B flat minor many a times on a lot of blues stuff. I don't know why they went that route, but actually I can think of a B flat minor. Sturdy Cat Strut is a B flat minor, if memory serves me right. I might be incorrect on that. I know how to play it, but I don't think about it. I gotta break it down when I do play it. Yeah, at any rate, it has 4 flats to it. Back here, and at 5 flats we have the D flat major, and we have a B flat minor, and it has 5 flats. And at my 6th flat position, at my 6th flat position, this is where things mix because I have sharps or flats and they're enharmonic. It can be either a C sharp major, or it can be a A sharp minor, or enharmonically, which means it's the same notes but different scale patterns. So I'm starting off on a G instead of a C sharp, I'm starting off on a G flat. But because the notes are all kind of the same, they're the same scale pattern, they're the same notes, but they're just laid out differently. We have a G flat, major, or a E flat minor. And remember that 6th one that I said we get back together with? That was the F sharp, and that had 6 sharps. This one has 7 sharps. This one has 6 flats, and this one here that we're coming up to will have 7 flats. Let's make sure I got a color that I'm not using on here. So this guy here has 7 flats to it, and it makes it a C flat major, or a flat minor. And down here, on the other end, if I was going the sharps, this guy here would have the 6 flat sharps on it. 6 sharps, and that would be a F sharp major and a D sharp minor. And there again, this is just telling you where to start those patterns out that I just showed you. So if I see 7 sharps, I got to figure out where this is being played. So I got to find myself on 7 sharps. I got to go over here and say, okay, there's the 7 sharps. I'm playing a C sharp. I know I'm on the 9th fret. It's also a D flat. I could also be in D flat at this point because that's an enharmonic note, and that's a whole different scale, and that's also in there. Interesting. I'm sorry, G flat would be its enharmonic. Okay, at any rate, we're going to get back on. I showed you this stuff. I showed you your major and your minor scales. And next lesson, I promised to hit more on these, but I wanted to drop these into your lap. I wanted to drop this into your lap. So you got this information. I don't have a cut sheet of this, so if somebody has one online that's a little bit more legible than my chicken scratch here, please post it on this particular video. I'd be much appreciated. And maybe I'll have some little lesson you can post on it that shows the cage system that I'll go take a look at myself and follow just to see if I pick up any new things. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing this class, is because I'm trying to review this stuff. I haven't looked at a lot of this stuff in 30 years. And I get up on stage with some guy that's Mr. Theory, and he's, oh, just do 1, 4, 5, 7 with the augmented 9. And you just kind of stand there looking at him going, yeah, all right, I'll figure this out, and I gotta sit there and break out the paper and draw out the notes and do all this, and then I'll figure it out 10 minutes later. I finally got it! And the guy's looking at me like, well, we moved on 10 minutes ago, you know. They want you to know it right off the head. Kind of gets a little irritating at times, but understandable. If you're the other guy, you get irritated because now you gotta wait for this jackass to catch up to you. Me being the jackass and not anybody else. I was just trying to press my point. So I'm going to drop this off the board, and hopefully somebody can show me a good circle of fifths diagram. I do not have that once again. I will post my modal one and explain that on next one, but there's a couple of them that I can post for you that I have. I don't happen to have a good blues scale drawn out, but I can draw it out for you on the board, and we'll do that on next lesson. Right now, to end my lesson, we're going to talk about this guy right here that I have written here. So the next course, I can have a total clean slate. And let me grab my one of my axes again. Got to have that in hand, and I'll show you how these guys are working and what they're doing in this. This is all basing it off of the next course. I was going to talk a lot more about intervals, and I'm just going to touch on them this course. The next one will have intervals and chords structures. And I'm sorry if I know you guys have been biting at the hip for me to get up to those chords and the intervals. And I'm just starting to touch on it now. Aaron posted some wonderful stuff. Oh man, that was great stuff. Kind of where he's mixing scales in a song, and he's using intervals, and what the guy did and what Aaron posted was really cool. And I'll run through this real quick. So I have a perfect unison. A perfect unison on a guitar is stretch this string out to this fret right here, because that one are the same notes. So if I go and just stretch on it, it's pretty cool. Well, these guys were on B and up here on E, and one guy was playing one lead part and the other guy was playing another lead part. And when you put these two guitars together, it gives this haunting, howling, great guitar sound. And when I broke it down, I just started breaking it down, and I got up to like the second chord change, and it's like, no, I gotta stop here because there's just too much interesting stuff happening in these first two chords of that 22-second set of a song that Aaron posted. And I hope Aaron posts that underneath this one also, so you can all see it. Now I might just repost it there myself. At any rate, he's up here on the 8th fret. One guy's doing it here on the 7th fret. And they're howling these guitars. And the other guy's up here doing this. And when they put together, you can kind of see what it's going to sound like. And I hope I'm going to do it justice, because here I have an E note, and I'm doubling this E note. So, and here I'm doing the same thing with the B. So I got a B and an E together. Well, this is a 1 and a 4 progression. Remember me talking about the 1, 4, 5 progression? This is a 1. There's your 1 chord, which is a B. There's your 4 chord, which is the E. There's your 5. So structurally in a song, this fits real well. And it works together. When you put these two haunting sounds together, it's basically, so now I got an E, which is right here. I'm going to do this all in one spot of the guitar. I'm going to double that B by giving it a nice bend and hopefully barring it and muting out the rest of these guys that I don't want, the unwanted guys. You can trying to catch it. I'm not. You can hear how haunting it is, and listen to the recording. It's amazing. Yeah, it's just a great use of these intervals. So this perfect unison, I just showed you that bad boy, applies all over this neck. Then bringing Aaron up into this again. He likes to joss me because I'm a Les Paul player and he's an SG player that he's got 24 frets. And my response to him is this, Aaron, you're going to love this. Aaron already knows where I'm going with this. I can hit every one of those notes on this guitar, except for two, and that's this E string. Based off of my octaves, knowing that I have this note right here is down here. When it's stretched, actually it's this note right here, is down here. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets down from anything he plays up here. I can copy it on the next string down. Therefore, the only string I can't do that on is this E string up here on the last 2 frets of his 24 fretboard. However, in saying this, the ease of playing the 24 fret guitar, which I do own one, is much easier because of the way these box patterns that I showed you earlier line up on that 24th fret. It makes it easier, more fluent to play. And that's what Aaron likes, is the fluency of playability of the guitar on the higher frets. And a lot of guys complain about this guy right here being too much for their hands. As you can see, I have no problem holding the back of the neck and hitting, as long as I don't sit on my guitar cord. But I've got some pretty good meaty paws, and I totally get if your hands, we're all built different, we're all different people. If your hands aren't fitting this instrument, it's not for you. Go to SG, it's going to fit your hand better. Just the same as my Les Paul here. This has the nice fat neck on, a nice big round deep profile. I got a 60s neck, and that has a lot slimmer profile going this way on it. So the strings are just a little bit tighter together. If I would take a micrometer, I'm sure I would figure out how much difference there is, but I've not done that. But you can feel the difference in them. And worse yet, I get over to a couple of my Fenders. I got one Fender that's the tightest guitar I'll ever own, but it sounds great, and I'm able to play it without fat fingering it. And I don't really have fat fingers. I just have big hands, long fingers, strong, from years and years of automobile work and playing guitar. I've got really strong hands. So I don't have a problem with these upper notes, but I can see where guys do, especially if they have small hands. As you can see, my hand totally wraps around it. I'm up here touching the 24th fret, no problem. And I can even bow my fingers, so I'm not getting a mutilated note or anything like that. And if I want speed, I just drag my hand right around underneath, and voila, I got all the speed I need. So it's just a matter of how you hold your guitar. There's another thing. There's a right way and a wrong way. What you've seen me doing here is probably the wrong way to really hold this guitar. If I want speed, I can increase my speed a lot just by simply tipping this neck up. It forces my hand underneath as a straighter thing. A lot of times I wear my guitar a little higher to get my elbow underneath it so the hand and wrist stays straight, reducing any carpal tunnel effects happening. In classical music, they make you hold the guitar like this. You see a lot of guitars holding the guitar like that. That's to help bring the neck of that guitar up so you can get your arm underneath it. See how my arm is underneath that neck? You want to get underneath that neck. If you want to be a fast guitarist, get your hand under your arm underneath that neck. Otherwise, you're never going to be a fast guitarist. You're going to be a guy wearing a splint on your hand with carpal tunnel, and you might not ever be able to play this baby again because the carpal tunnel is not going to go away. It's only going to get worse, so you better learn how to play your guitar if you want to continue. I've been doing 39 years, heavy automotive work, I'm an electrician, so I'm twisting wires. I'm doing all sorts of work with my hands, but I always make sure that I change things up so I don't get that repetitive motion syndrome and happening in my wrist. I came close once, and it gave me a really, really bad scare. So I had learned, and I relearned how to play guitar at that time with my elbow underneath the guitar. So most of the time when you see me playing, it's up here. If I'm giving a lesson where I'm not doing a lot of strain, I'm just showing you lessons here and there, I'll play sloppy. I know how to play sloppy. Everybody knows how to do that. So anyways, back to the lesson. That's perfect unison, and I can do that by any means. It's just skip one string and up one fret, and then when you get to where your strings turn to a non-wrap string, mind you, you might have a bare third string, but usually they're considered a wrap string, even if they are a bare string. It's the first two strings where you have to switch to three frets in between, or 4 frets, however you want to look at it. I go up, but I'm still skipping a string, and they're the same. I'm sorry. That's the same note. This is a unison bend, and they're the same. They were all same A note, regardless. But this is unison. The other one was an octave. So I can do that anywhere, but instead of going, with the 1, 2 full frets open, I'm just the next one, because this is an unwrapped string and a wrapped string. I just have the 1 fret stretch to this fret, and I get the unison. Hear it? Yeah, it's there on every one. A little harder on the top strings, a little easier on the bottom, in my opinion. Okay, so we have a minor second. This has 1/2 step. The guitar's laid out in half steps. In case you didn't know that, most of you do. So there's the step, or we're starting on G. A half step would be G sharp. Another half step would be A. Another half step. So each one of these are a half step. So a perfect unison, I just showed you, we can find that in several spots. I mean, starting here. Or if you want to do the stretch. There you go. There's the tune. So that's a unison. A minor second is a half step. So there's one way of showing you this half step. Another way to show you this would be right here, because remember I was talking about this being the same note? Well, there you go. So now I can go do the half step. That's a minor chord. However, it's an inverted minor chord. So we're gonna redo this, and I'm gonna go put that sharp right here above that, and go down here, and that's just 1/2 step, guys. Gives it a very minery feel. A major is 2 half steps. So again, we're going to start off here on the G in this instance, and we're going to go 1 half step, 2 half steps. So it's a G and an A. And there, I know this is an A, and I know this is an A. Because I can go, right? So that's your major. Your minor third would be 3 half steps. So that would be 1, 2, 3. So that would be the A sharp. Right there. And tells you. I mean, these are chords. If you learn these, you can move. They're movable. I show them in C here, just as a guide. You can work these chords out, figure out where they're at. I've given you how to find the notes, because you guys should know these two strings all the way up. And if you know those two strings all the way up, it's simple to do the octave thing and figure out where the next that next note is the same note. So we can figure out a lot of this stuff just by looking at it and seeing what I got. So I'm just going to read this. So it's perfect unison, 0 steps. Minor second is a half step. Major second is a half. There are 2 half steps. Minor third, 3 half steps. Major third would be 4 half steps. A perfect fourth has 5 half steps. A perfect fifth has 6 half steps. Sorry about that. No, I'm sorry. What is going on here? Oh, no, that's right. I'm right. It's got 6. Perfect fifth has 7 half steps. Where did 6 half steps go? 3, 4, 5. So that would be 5 half steps. There would be 6 half steps. So perfect 4 has 5. This would have 6. And then we'd go to why am I missing a 7th? I'll have to look at this again. I apologize. I thought I had this all correct. Perfect 5th. Minor 6th would be 7 half steps, I believe. I'll make the correction online here if I can't find it. Oh, here we go. I happen to have it right here. See where my error is, and I'll get it corrected. 6 half steps would be a perfect 5th. 7 half steps is a, well, I got perfect 5th there for 7th, and interesting. I did not copy this down incorrect. For some reason they are not showing me the 6 half steps. Major, minor. Yeah, they just breezed by that one. So, at any rate, this has the 7th. You're just going to have to go with what I have written here. I wrote it down correctly. I'm a little confused at this point, and I have to review it and see if I can't come up with an answer on that. I apologize, I don't have that off the top of my head. Minor 6 has 8 half steps. Major 6 has 9. Minor 7th has 10. Major 7th has 11. I'll get back to you what happened to my 6 half steps. I'm not certain. I thought there was something odd there why something wasn't flattened. And I'll have to read up on that and see if I can figure out why. Down here we have an augmented 5th. So you have a C and a G sharp. And you have a perfect 5th, which is a C and a G natural. And then you have a diminished 5th, which is a G and a flattened G. So that's where these augmented, diminished, and perfect come from. And I guess at that rate, the diminished 5th would be the 7 half steps that I don't have written above. So that's where that one is. Because there's the missing note right there. We're missing the flat. So there's your 7th. I don't need to look it up. I had the answer all along. I'm smarter than you, and I gave myself credit for. If you're buying into that, I have some great land in Florida for sale. So, at any rate, I hope this makes sense to you. I hope that you guys liked it. I hope that you guys come up with some great questions, great comments. One of the guys that I work with, I shared the video with, told me I need to get into intervals and into this other stuff. And he gave me some great information that I'm going to pass on to you guys next course. It won't be this one. And anything else that pops up, I'll make sure I get right out to you guys. And I hope you really enjoy this. Give me some feedback. I need feedback. I feel like if I don't get nothing, I feel like I'm wasting my time. I gotta have feedback, and I know I had several guys give me really good, promising feedback, but dude, there's 200 of you guys out there. There's got to be a few years more than what I seen on there, giving me the thumbs up or even thanks. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to be part of this group. That's what makes this group so good, is guys going out of their way to make sure they're sharing stuff. And I've had some wonderful things shared with me that I had no idea about. Some of these instruments I've seen from these guys I'd never seen before. I've been the guy who was a geek learning the theory and learning how to play the guitar, so I didn't spend a lot of time looking at guitars until I was much older and had more money behind me. My kids had moved out of the house, so I wasn't supporting their little butts instead of buying nice, awesome axes. And I'm a single income family. My wife does not work because I'm an electrician, and I don't need her to work. I make enough money to where I can afford to live the style of life that I'm comfortable in. Sure, everybody wants more money, everybody could use more money, but I don't need both of us to die. Somebody needs to enjoy my money, it might as well be her. And I love her with all my heart. She's been my wife for many, many years, 29 years now, and been a faithful friend of mine. So yeah, I'm just not going to treat her bad in any way, shape, or form. She's a wonderful woman. I'm grateful to have her. At that rate, we're going to end this playing a little bit of minor scale.